The village of Willowcreek lay tucked between rolling hills and ancient pines, far from the nearest city and even farther from the comforts of modern life. The people there lived simply raising livestock, tending crops, and keeping tight to the traditions passed down from their grandparents. But every generation carried one particular tradition with more fear than pride. The warning about the woman who wandered the woods at night. No one ever said her name out loud. They simply called her the Night Maiden. Adults whispered the stories, children dared each other to repeat them, and elders shuddered even at her memory. But for decades, she had remained nothing more than a tale spoken around bonfires and late-night gatherings, something to scare kids into coming home before dark, until the disappearances began. The first boy who claimed to see her was Michael Tanner, a 17-year-old who worked at his father's mill. One night, on his way home, he told his friends he spotted a girl at the edge of the forest. She was dressed in white lace, her hair long and black, flowing in the wind even though the air was still. Her skin was pale, most too pale, but her face was breathtaking. He said she looked like someone carved straight out of moonlight. He never made it home that night. The search parties found no body, no footprints, no sign of struggle, nothing but the lingering scent of wet leaves and lilies in the cold night air. A week later, another boy saw her, then another, and each time the same result. The next morning, they were gone. Fear settled over Willowcreek, like a fog nobody could push away. Parents stopped letting their children out after sundown. Teenagers stopped gathering by the river or playing cards on the hill. Even the bravest men refused to walk alone at night, because every survivor who saw her before disappearing described her the same way. A beautiful girl with dark eyes, a soft voice, and a smile that pulled you forward like a hook. A smile you never walked away from. The turning point came when an old hermit named Samuel Barrett finally spoke about what he had witnessed decades earlier. Samuel rarely talked to anyone. He lived alone in a creaking shack on the far side of the village. Surrounded by traps he set himself. Most people thought he was insane, an old man who muttered about spirits and things hiding in the tree line. But when the disappearances grew too many to ignore, the villagers gathered in the town hall to discuss what to do. Samuel showed up uninvited, leaning on his crooked cane, his eyes wild with a fear he had clearly carried for most of his life. "I've seen her," he whispered, voice shaking as if every word cost him something. "Not once, not twice, many times. She's no girl. She never has been." The villagers fell silent. Samuel took a shaky breath. "She comes when men wander alone. She uses her beauty to pull them in. But once she has them, she takes their strength, their warmth, their life. She feeds on it." People stared at him, stunned and disbelieving. But the look in his eyes held a truth sharper and colder than any blade. He went on. "When I was young, she came for my brother, Ethan." Samuel's voice cracked. She appeared the same, way-smiling, innocent, beautiful. "My brother followed her into the woods. I tried to stop him, grabbed his arm, but she touched me." He lifted his sleeve. Long, dark scars ran across his wrist marks that looked like burns, though they were too unnatural, too twisted to be from fire. I felt her hunger, he whispered, like she was trying to pull the life out of me. I got free, but Ethan, he vanished. A heavy silence filled the hall. Then Samuel added, "You can't kill her like a person. You can't wound her like an animal. But she has a weakness." The room leaned closer. She fears confinement. She fears being trapped. Find a vessel glass, clay, anything strong enough, and lure her in. Seal it tight. Never open it. And most important, bury it, or throw it someplace she could never return from. Despite Samuel's warning, fear still held the town hostage. No one wanted to hunt a spirit. No one wanted to face her. But after the 6th disappearance, young man named Jacob Hayes the village could no longer turn away. Jacob's mother fell to her knees in the square, begging the community to stop whatever was hunting their sons. That night, 10 of the strongest and bravest villagers met at the edge of the forest, lanterns in hand, carrying ropes, nets, knives, nothing they believed might help. Among them was Samuel. "We don't fight her," he reminded them. "We trap her. Remember that." The group nodded, though dread tightened every face. They set their bait. A lantern hung near the forest's entrance, flickering softly, with a small silver mirror placed beneath it. Samuel explained that spirits, drawn to their own reflections, often revealed themselves. They waited. The woods were silent, at first to silent. No crickets, no owls, not even the wind. Then the air turned cold. Breath misted in front of their mouths, and the scent of lilies drifted in on a breeze that wasn't there moments before. "She's coming," Samuel whispered, and then she appeared. A girl, young, beautiful, dressed in white. Her eyes glowed faintly, not with light, but with hunger. She moved with a smooth, impossible grace, as if floating rather than walking. Her smile was soft, gentle, devastatingly inviting. "You don't have to be afraid," she said sweetly. "I only want to talk." Her voice sounded like it danced inside their minds, each word echoing with warmth that felt almost hypnotic. 2 of the men stepped forward involuntarily. Samuel shouted, "Look away! Don't meet her eyes." But it was too late. The girl reached for one of the men Thomasand. Her fingers brushed his cheek. Within seconds, his skin began to pale, his body weakening as though she was draining him. The other villagers sprang into action. "Now," Samuel yelled. They opened a large glass bottle thick, reinforced. Old and Samuel whispered the trapping chant his grandmother had once taught him. The wind howled. The trees shook. The girl shrieked, her voice twisting from sweet melody into a screech that clawed at their eardrums. A swirling force began pulling her toward, the bottle her hair whipping violently, her form flickering like smoke. "No," she screamed, reaching out with clawed hands that hadn't been there a moment ago. "Let me go." But the spell tightened around her, her face contorted, shifting from beauty to horror eyes, widening, mouth stretching too far, her once human shape distorting into something ancient and monstrous. With one final scream, her entire form collapsed inward and spiraled into the bottle. The cork slammed in place with a thunderous crack. Silence. Complete, suffocating silence. Thomas collapsed, unconscious but alive. The others trembled, their hands white-knuckled around the bottle that now pulsed faintly with an angry, muffled whisper from within. The Night Maiden was trapped, but not destroyed. The villagers debated what to do with the bottle. Some wanted to bury it deep in the woods. Others wanted to seal it in the church. But Samuel insisted they follow the old way. "She cannot stay on land," he said. "She will always find a way back. Spirits like her aren't meant to be bound. If she escapes, she will be twice as hungry." He looked toward the ocean. "We must send her somewhere she will never return from, somewhere no human hands could ever reach." And so, the villagers traveled to the coast, 30 miles awake, carrying the bottle wrapped in rope and chains. The ocean roared as they approached, waves crashing violently against the rocks, as if sensing the evil they brought. Samuel stood at the cliff's edge. "This is where it ends," he said softly. The others stepped back. He held the bottle high, muttered a final blessing to keep the seal strong, and hurled it into the crashing waves. It sank instantly, swallowed by the dark sea. The villagers watched until the last ripples faded. "For the sake of Willowcreek," Samuel whispered, "let her never rise again." They returned home, exhausted but relieved. For the first time in months, people slept peacefully. The disappearances stopped, and Willowcreek returned to its quiet, simple life, though never completely forgetting what they had faced, far below the ocean's surface, where sunlight never touched and only the oldest creatures dared to swim. The bottle settled into the sand. Weeks passed, then months, and still faint whispers leaked from inside the glass. Whispers that echoed through the water. Whispers hungry for release. One night, a deep-sea current shifted the sand around the bottle, revealing it again to the open water. A crack small it could barely be seen formed near the rim, and from within a soft, melodic voice whispered, "Soon, soon I will return, and next time no bottle will hold me." The sea carried the promise into the depths, where darkness waited patiently for something ancient, angry, and beautiful to be born again.